Audio Jungle.
Good morning and welcome to channel 206 News. Today, our topic is joints. Every bone in the body forms with a joint, well, with every other bone, except for the hyoid bone. Joints, or articulations, have two functions. The first is to hold bones together, and the second is to give the skeleton mobility. Joints are divided into functional joints and structural joints.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rosen. I've just gotten back from the lab and I have some new results on the back. So the back is a very vital thing to your body. Without it, you could not walk. So you really need to do some things to keep it healthy throughout your life. So to start with that, you should have good posture, never slouch, always stand up straight. You should avoid walking in heels, and you should have daily exercise to keep your back upright and going. And you should not sit for too long because that can have posture issues.
There are three types of structural joints. The first is the amphiarthrosis joints, which means that they are slightly movable. The synarthrosis joints means the joints are completely immovable. And the diarthrosis means that they are freely movable, and these joints are mostly found in the limbs. There are three types of joints: fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial.
Audio Jungle.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about the synovial joints. Synovial joints vary based on shape. The first synovial joint is a plane joint, and the articular surface of these are essentially flat, and only short slipping or gliding movements are allowed. The movements of plane joints are non-axial, and the best example of this are the intercoccygeal joints of the wrist. In a hinge joint, the cylindrical end of one bone fits into a trough-shaped surface on another bone. This angular movement is allowed in just one plane, and these are classified as uniaxial. The best examples are the elbow joints and the ankle joints. In a pivot joint, the rounded end of the bone fits into a sleeve or ring of bones, and it can only turn around its long axis, so they are uniaxial joints. The best example of this are the joints between the atlas and the dens of the axis. In a condyloid joint, the egg-shaped articular surface of one bone fits into an oval concavity in another. Movement occurs around the axis, which means it's biaxial, and this can be seen in the knuckle joints, or also known as the metacarpophalangeal. In a saddle joint, each articular surface has both convex and concave areas like a saddle. These biaxial joints allow essentially the same movements as condyloid joints, and the best example of this is the carpometacarpal joints in the thumbs. In a ball and socket joint, the spherical head of one bone fits into a round socket in another. These are multi-axial joints, and they allow movements in all axes, including rotation. This is seen in the shoulder and hip.
If you or someone you know is missing a bone, no need to fear. Bone replacements are here. So, if a bone is crushed, a bone substitute called a bone endoprosthesis is used. Also, pieces of the fibula can be used to replace bones in a technique called vascular fibular graft technique. All of these replacements are safe. They're a little bit costly, but they all are safe and most often prevail in success.
Why, thank you, Hannah. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about fibrous joints. Fibrous joints are joined by the fibrous tissues. A perfect example would be the sutures of the skull, aka the synostosis.
Audio Jungle.
Cartilaginous joints are bone ends which are connected by cartilage. An example would be the pubic symphysis of the pelvis, and this type of joint is amphiarthrotic, which means that it is slightly movable. Another example is the intervertebral joints of the spinal column. Immovable or synarthric cartilage joints include the hyaline cartilage physial plates of growing long bones and joints between the first ribs and the sternum.
And I'm back. But this time I'm going to teach you about the 6 types of synovial joints. But first let me tell you what on earth is a synovial joint. They are the most common and most movable type of joint in a body of a mammal. All synovial joints have 4 distinguishing features. 1 is the articular cartilage, 2 is a fibrous articular cartilage, 3 is a joint cavity, and 4 is a reinforcing ligaments. Now let's start learning about the 6 types of synovial joints. A plane joint, a hinge joint, a pivot joint, a condylar joint, a saddle joint, and a ball and socket joint. They are joints that are held together with very short interconnecting fibers. They're only found in the skull. In syndesmosis, the joints are held together by the ligaments. Bones are connected by ligaments, and the movements depend on the length of the ligaments. Well, there you have it. You just learned a little bit about the fibrous joints.
Hi, Dr. Rosen. Could you please tell me some more about diseases that affect our joints?
I could. So when you have an extreme thoracic curve, that is known as kyphosis. When you have an extreme lumbar curve, that is known as lordosis.
What is it called when you have a decreased bone mass?
That is known as osteoporosis. Rickets is when bones are weakened.
Really? And I've always heard of a cancer of bones. What is that called?
That is osteogenic sarcoma, which 400 children get every year.
Wow, I never knew this stuff. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosen.